Iggy, talk to me for a second.
Yep, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Okay, I'm making sure that
I think I just fixed it.
you fixed. You fixed it.
I think so, but we're gonna have to wait like 30 seconds to find out.
Okay, I got the volume up on the stream. Hold on, we'll see if this works. Crossing our fingers and our toes. Yay! You're working.
Sweet.
You might have to turn up my volume a little bit more. It's a little low.
Let's see if I can do that. Thank you so much, Tara.
Here, I'm going to try to turn it up on my end a little bit. We'll try it there.
Okay.
And we'll see if this helps. All right. Thank you, Tara. Thank you. You're a sweetheart.
Oh, you know what? And now I see under OBS, there wasn't anything there before under desktop audio for balance. It was just zeroed out. And now I actually see something.
Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, we are tech experts. Do not try this at home.
So I guess what I'll end up doing is,
oh my God.
I think, you know what? It should let me cut this. So what I'll do is I'll start it from...
Edit it out. Start it over.
Well, I'll start it from the part that we actually get things started so people can hear the fun times we've had. But, okay. And then us thanking Tara, because thank you, Tara, so much.
Thank you, Tara.
Truly appreciate it.
Oh my God.
So I don't know if we should just kind of start back where we did. I do want to mention to Tara and to everybody listening now that everything that we've done in the past 25 minutes has been, and I see my timer here, but has been 100% unscripted. We have no scripts.
Script? Who needs no stinking script?
Right. So
we need more alcohol. That's what we need.
Well, actually, during the stream, my wife made me some cafecito, Cuban coffee, and that's what I'm sipping on.
Son, where's mine?
I'll UPS it to you overnight.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But yeah, so kind of going back to how we started off, years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I came across Ed's contact info, and I begged him, please give me something to review.
You didn't beg that hard.
Okay, maybe 2 begs, not 3.
Maybe 2 begs. Okay.
But you know, and Ed, he used to be a reviewer, so he felt my pain, and rather than just saying, you know, bug off, little guy, he actually helped me as a little guy, a little reviewer. Not a little guy, I'm a big guy, but as a fledgling reviewer, nobody wants to send you anything, and
well,
you know,
there's a cost involved, and people forget the cost. You're talking $300 and $500 products.
right?
It used to be in the heyday of reviewing that companies would just give away technology. Companies would get 20 video cards and send them to North America and say, give them to reviewers and let them look at them. Now, with the way everything works and the cost of everything and everything that gets involved, that's begun to disappear. I know we at Sapphire tend to do a return policy on most of our cards. A lot of other major companies do return policies. In fact, I didn't realize this when I was a reviewer in North America. In Europe, it's been return policy for a long time.
Okay.
And North America really was the big push for keeping the card. So it was really difficult to get the small reviewers in, because all the big review sites, and look at what we used to have. I used to tease we had all Chiefs, no Indians.
Right.
We had hundreds of review sites in North America, and all of them want to review enthusiast material. None of them wanted to talk about the mainstream gamer.
Right.
And what's involved with that. And it's a changing market. YouTube changed it a lot, not always for the better.
Right.
I think we have. I think there are a few reviewers that are still very good reviewers. They understand what reviewing is. But I also think we've got a lot of named reviewers, big name reviewers in YouTube that are marketing shills.
Right. Yes, for
and
sure.
I'm not going to say names because I don't want to pick on anybody, but
right.
there's a disconnect that's begun to happen, and YouTubers approach a different audience. Before, reviewers were mostly enthusiasts for who were looking at review sites, because there would be tons of data on a page, and you'd have to know how to weed through the data to get to the really good information.
Right.
With YouTube, it's a little easier because there's a little emphasis on the personality of the YouTuber, a little less on the data. The actual content, even though the videos feel longer, in most cases, there are obvious exceptions to this, but in most cases, the videos are short and they get to the point quicker, and they tend toward a less tech-savvy audience.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is where some of the bad things have come in. I tell this story a lot. I was in a Best Buy, and you know how dangerous that is, because while everybody else has got stories of being thrown out of bars, I've been thrown out of Best Buys. About 6 of them. I've been thrown out of one Micro Center, by the way. And well,
nice.
That's because I'll go in and I'll listen to the salesperson giving a sales pitch, and at some point I just want to rip my hair out. and I can't let the stupid go anymore. I've got to go save these people.
Right.
So I'm in Best Buy, and there was this young man about 14, 15 years old, and he'd saved up all year and built his first computer. And he's with his dad. His dad was so proud of him. And he was taking his Christmas money, and he was going to buy a monitor and the gaming peripherals for his computer.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't know what he needed to buy. He didn't understand what he was getting into. So I helped him with the peripherals. We got him some good choices for that. And then it came time for the monitor. And he said, well, I need to get a 4K monitor. No, you don't, son. Who told you needed a 4K monitor? Well, the YouTubers tell me I need a 4K monitor.
Right.
No. Well, they all use 4K monitor. No, you don't need a 4K monitor. And I sat down with the dad and the son, and we talked about what he needed for a monitor. And at Best Buy, it's not always the best monitor selection for gaming.
Right.
But they did have the LG 29-inch 2560 by 1080 ultra-wide with the IPS display, 75 hertz refresh. It's not the greatest gaming monitor, but it was seriously the best monitor they had there.
Right.
For a gamer. And I told him, this is what you need to buy. This is what you're going to enjoy the most. And he's like, oh, I don't know. Those YouTubers told me 4K. I looked at him and looked at his dad, and I said, here's what I'm going to do. You buy that monitor, you take it home. Here's my email address. If in 30 days you're not happy with it, I will buy you a 4K monitor and swap it with you. And 30 days later, I heard back from his dad, and the kid was thrilled. He was just having a blast.
Good.
Playing his video games, because it's easy for those of us in the tech world to get wrapped up in the tech.
Yep.
And we forget that the tech is about what you do with it. It's like a carpenter who has a really cool hammer. It's the hammer's great, but it's what he builds that's important. And as a PC gamer, it's not the tech as much as it is the experience we get when we're gaming.
Right.
Can we achieve the experience we want? It's easy to tell people to throw money. I just did this discussion, by the way, yesterday with the folks from Network. I did a breakout group via Discord with Network. It's easy for people to tell us throw money at the problem. Okay, you know what? You spend $2,500. You buy this huge 4K monitor. You buy this monster case with this custom liquid cooling loop. You overclock this $1,000 CPU. You buy 2 of these $800 GPUs and water cool them and overclock them, and you can play your games at 4K on Ultra. Right. Okay, for that much money, you should be able to, and it should fold my laundry and make me a sandwich at the end of the day. Okay,
right.
That's that's not reality for most of us. Most of us have things like a mortgage or wife and kids or husband and kids.
Yeah.
Insurance, health problem, a car payment, food. For God's sakes, we actually want to eat. We don't want to live on ramen noodles and 25-cent boxes of macaroni and cheese.
Right.
Okay, so we've got these realistic expenses. A super big rig is wonderful, but a super big rig isn't necessary to have a great gaming experience. Right now, we're in almost a golden age of gaming. I mean, let's look at it. So I want to build a 1080p gaming machine right now, a good 1080p, and I want to keep the price down.
Right.
Well, you can pick up a Ryzen 2600 for about $120. Pick up a $100 motherboard. Pick up a $75, $80 worth of RAM. Pick up a $100 SSD. And then get yourself like a 570 or a 580 and a decent low-cost 1080p monitor. Though in fairness, you can get a good 1080p monitor at 144 hertz for around $200. And suddenly you're only spending $500-$600 and you've got a great 1080p gaming rig.
And actually, let me rewind a little tiny, or a lot of it. So since we kind of had to restart the stream kind of midway because for some reason you were muted and it was my fault. People may not know who you are. So this and this is not just some guy that
is Julio Iglesias.
This is not just some guy I picked up on the street. Let's go have an interview, and it's going to sound interesting because I put Sapphire there. This is Ed. What was it? Crisler? Crisler. There we go. Ed Crisler, the North American PR for Sapphire Technologies, arguably the best AMD GPUs known to man.
I will second that. I will second that.
And he's not just a regular PR guy. And when I say regular PR guy is just like, guys, I don't know anything about technology. I just want you to market it.
Buy my card.
Yeah, I want you to tell me the good highlights so I can write them down, print it, and publish it. Right. This guy, Ed, is in the weeds. Ed plays with the latest and greatest before I even see it, before it's news. And he does really good stuff. And as I mentioned before, he was the guy that helped me get started. So reviewing wise, over on Dragon Blogger, and I still review on Dragon Blogger, but I also review on my own ThisBytesForYou, different videos and everything. But anyway, I didn't want to leave people just, who is this guy that keeps talking?
Why did you pick him up?
Right.
Is that Santa?
Shh, don't tell anybody. But yeah, so
I was teasing my barber the other day. It's a female barber, a real barber, okay, not a beautician.
Right.
And she's the one that's getting my beard shaped and everything else, and she's been teasing me that I need to apply to be a Santa this year at the local mall because the beard's really coming in nice. I'm really happy with the beard. And I looked at her and smiled and said, "You gotta come sit on Santa's lap."
Oh boy.
And she looked at me and she said, "No, but I might come visit."
Nice.
And my wife, by the way, is sitting next to me laughing her ass off at that.
Yeah.
So before anybody thinks I was being a dirty old man, no, I'm just playing. The beard's rock, man. You gotta have a beard. That's being a man.
I have the little short and stubbly one.
You'll get there.
No, I can grow it, but the problem is I don't want it because I have curly hair, or you can't really tell, but I had wavy hair. I used to have long blonde hair down to my butt, and then eventually it went away. And
before you get off tech and go to beard tips.
Right.
You can tell I got a little wave in my beard. Up till about 3 months ago, this thing was everywhere. It was rat's nest. If I grow my hair long, you will swear to God I have an afro. I used to have hair that was long enough to get almost halfway down my back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But it never got much below my neck because it kinked up so tight. It was so terribly curly. But the cool thing is with a beard, with the good use of beard oil and a comb and a brush, you can train the beard to grow down and the weight begins to pull it down. You just got to let it grow long enough.
Okay. Definitely good tip. I got to play with that a little bit.
And then it's up to the wife, of course, too, because if the wife don't like the beard, you don't get the beard.
Right. Well, it took me long enough for her to accept this, and one day I just kind of snuck. Well, it took me a few days, but I kind of snuck it in, and she's like, "So, are you growing a beard?" Oh, I guess I forgot to shave. Yeah. And
there's a wonderful beard product company. It's called Grave Before Shave.
Okay.
Absolutely love it. Oh no! Okay, there it goes. My picture froze on YouTube.
Yeah, that was again my fault.
That's okay. It's no worries. This is what I love about live streams. So for everybody that's listening, there's been no script here.
Right.
He has given me no questions in advance. Thank you, Iggy, for doing that for me because I hate dealing with that.
No problem.
He's given me no questions in advance. The answers you get are just who I am. This isn't an act. This isn't a persona I put on for this. This is who I am. If you've seen me at a LAN party, you know this. I'm just an old school gamer that got to live the dream when Sapphire said, "Come work for it."
That is so awesome.
By the way, okay, so you'll love the story for that. So I was doing the review stuff, right? And my partner and I, my best friend used to be my co-host for the show. And we went to CES for the first time, a little over 7 years ago, in fact, now. And Sapphire was one of the places we visited. Philip Wynne Jones, Adrian, and I'll think of who Bill Donnelly was there. And so we went in, and it's supposed to be like a 5-minute meet and greet with these companies when you walk in their suite.
Right.
You walk in, shake their hands. How you doing? This is our new products. Move out so we can get the next people in. Adrian found out that we were doing radio. That was pretty novel. Nobody else was doing that at the time. So he sat down with me and Doug, and then Bill sat down, and then Philip sat down. And then 3 hours later, they're like, "Guys, we need to go eat dinner."
Nice.
So it was this long, drawn out visit. It was a fantastic visit, by the way. It really was. It was a great visit. They wanted to hear what we were bringing from a different perspective. We loved the insights they gave us into the industry. So we left, and everything was fine, and we kept doing the show. And about a year later, I tried to get a hold of the Ed PCs that Sapphire was producing to look at. And I tried to get a hold of the North American PR rep, and I never get emails returned. But I had Bill Donnelly's email address. I emailed Bill, and I said, "Hey, what the crap, man? I'm trying to get a hold of him. I want to get one of these and look at it. We'd love to. We think this is great. Here's how we want to look at it, blah, blah, blah." And Bill emails me back, and he says, "Hey, Ed, listen, our North American guy's gone. He quit. We don't have anybody in North America." He said, "I'm trying to get this straightened out. I'm hoping to find somebody soon to replace him. But in the meantime, I'll handle this. I'll get you one sent out." Okay, awesome. So I sent back an email to Bill. And in the email, I sent back, I said, "Hey, by the way, I could always use a job, and I could do this." I was joking.
Right.
And the next thing I know, Bill sends me an email. He said, "Do you use Skype?" "Yeah." He said, "Get on Skype." Okay. And he gets on Skype. He says, "So how serious were you?" "About what?" And he said, "About wanting to work for Sapphire." I said, "I'd love to work for Sapphire. I love your products. You've been a great company. I've loved working with you. I'd love to work for Sapphire. What are you looking to have me do?" "We want to have you run PR for North America." "What?"
Beautiful.
"What?" I mean, I'm a little radio show host from Podunk, Southern Illinois. That runs a small computer shop. And I'm like, "I don't know." And he said, "Well, how about this? You talk with Philip and Adrian and KD, who's the owner of the company, and you're going to talk to them in a couple of days, and then let's see where we go from there." Okay. And I'm talking to my wife, and she's like, "What do you think?" And I said, "I think you're shaking my shape." So the Skype call comes in. Billy said, "Hey, are you going to be available to have that call?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll be available in I'll be available whenever you need me. When you need me." And he goes, "In about 20 minutes." Okay. So about 20 minutes later, Skype phone rings. It's Bill, and then there's Adrian, and then there's all of these guys. These guys are in Austin, Texas, and they were on a break from meetings with AMD to do this call. And I'm like, what do you guys want to know? And they're like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Just some real general questions. And I found out later that the reason I got hired was because of that visit in the suite at Las Vegas. Because they wanted a PR rep that actually understood the product line. They wanted a PR rep that understood the industry, that not the reviewers, but the consumer end of the industry. Because remember, I wasn't just a reviewer. I'm a gamer. I still am a gamer. Today, I actively game 30 hours a week.
Right.
More than that, but don't tell my boss.
It's kind of your job, right?
In some ways, it is.
Yep.
But it was just a ton of fun. I love the job. I'm more than a PR rep. I work with tech support some. I've helped with some product design stuff in the past. I hope to do more again in the future. General marketing. I test software. I go demo hardware. I go to events. I do public speaking. And it's just great because I get to share my passion of PC gaming with everybody and get paid for it. Right.
And I've seen you from all these different LAN events, chatting and taking pictures. I'm like, come to Richmond, over here.
Dude, give me a LAN event.
I don't know. I don't know that there's any here, honestly. It's kind of dead, I think.
You know what was amazing? We've sat down and we started looking at LAN events around the country because there were actually a lot of LAN events around the country. Mm-hmm. But not big LAN events. Now, by big, I'm talking 250 to 500 people. Okay, the bigger events are all over the place, but the bigger events are very commercialized. It was amazing to look at this. The majority, like 75% of the LAN events, take place from Wisconsin to Texas. Right in the middle of the country, right down the center of the country. Ohio's got a ton, Kentucky, Wisconsin, Illinois, Missouri, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas itself. Then you've got NetWar, which I just met in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah.
You've got events that are all in the Midwest. And for too long, companies have been focused on the East and West Coast. Now, I understand there are more people there, but I'm not sure there are more gamers there.
Right.
And I love going to these events because it's spending time with real gamers. It's not spending time with reviewers, which I like spending time with reviewers, by the way. I like most reviewers.
Right.
But it's spending time with real gamers and listening to what real gamers have to say and what they're looking for and where they feel the industry has let them down and where they feel the industry is excelling. And then I can take this stuff back to Sapphire and we can see what happens. We've even done, remember when we're the only company that did it, by the way. What was it, a 380 ITX? It was the first ITX AMD-based video card.
No, we did that was the
280.
Was that before?
Yeah, 280 and 280X was the first in that line.
Oh, yes.
Going forward of actual ITX video cards. That card came about because of a discussion I had at a LAN event, or actually at 2 LAN events, and then started pushing on our design teams to take a crack at it.
Awesome.
We were proud of that this was a card that was brought together because the gamer community asked for one.
And that's
it's a fun job.
If on my latest review of the 5700, I mentioned was it? Maybe I didn't, but and I try to get personal in all my reviews. That you and one other company, they're not I guess I could say they're not a competitor. Fractal Design. Sapphire and Fractal Design seem to be the 2 main companies that I know of that actually listen to the gamers, to the customers, because to all the other companies, without customers, you're nothing. So.
You know what? I think the reasoning behind that is fairly easy to understand. We and Fractal share something in common. We as companies punch above our weight class. Sapphire is, of the partners in the video game market, one of the smaller companies as far as number of employees, physical size.
Okay.
And yet we are the number one reseller of AMD products.
Yep. And actually, I commented on that, but I wasn't 100% sure. I thought you might have been. So I wasn't sure, but cool.
Yeah, we punch above our weight class, and we're proud of that. We're proud of the fact that we've been able to bring a product that competes and sets standards, and we've actually been an innovation leader. The first company to produce a consumer-level graphics card with HDMI was Sapphire.
Nice.
The first company to overclock a video card out of the box from the factory was Sapphire. The first company to use the larger coolers for the video cards was Sapphire. The first company to do vapor chamber technology was Sapphire. So we've been an innovator in the industry. That's why I get to segue into something cool. I didn't even need to set that up. We're really excited about this Trix Boost.
Yes.
That's coming out now. Trix Boost, for those of you that don't know, if you look in some video games, some modern video games, they have an ability to scale the video game. Now it starts at 100, but you can scale it down. Now what this does is this reduces the resolution the game renders at, and then upscales it to the display resolution to put it on the screen. Okay, and the advantage to doing that is by reducing the resolution of the rendering slightly, you can get a performance boost. Sometimes a very significant performance boost, depending on the game.
Yes.
So our team looked at it and thought, that's a really cool idea. What if we could do that to every game? So we developed Trix Boost. And the idea behind Trix Boost is, and this is in the new version of Trix that should be coming soon for consumers. We're getting ready to, I don't know if we're going to release a beta, but I know we're really close to being ready to produce this.
You heard that here first, guys.
It's close. I'm actually playing with the new version, the new build. So what it allows us to do is this. You've got 4 basic resolutions. You got 4K, 1440p, and 1080p. And you can go in, and we've got a slider that begins at 99 and goes down to 70. And you can pull down the level of scaling that you want to do to create the level of performance versus potential image quality loss. So, and then we also tie this with the 5700 XT and the 5700 to the Radeon image sharpening, which reduces the effect of that image quality loss. So to give you an example, and I can give you a very specific example because this is what I've done with. My 5700 XT is set up to run Division 2 at 1440. The settings are in place that it benchmarks at 99 frames per second.
Wow.
Now, that actual performance is the bottom I'm seeing probably hit 80, 79 at the lowest. And the top, I've seen it hit as much as 120.
Yeah,
but 99 frames per second is what the benchmark says it's going to do.
So when I played with it, mind you, it was the very, very, very early stage of it.
Uh-huh.
I was able to get between 5 and 20 frames per second, depending on the game, depending on the settings, and for being such an early sample, early revision of that, that's pretty impressive.
Oh, God. It's really impressive technology. Now, when I use Trix Boost with the same set of settings, and I drop to 90% and turn on image sharpening, which, by the way, I can't tell the difference between 90% without image sharpening and 1440p. I went from a 99 score to a 120. And my bottom number has never dropped below 100 frames per second.
That is perfect. Yes.
That's just a minor change. Now the cool part is that can be done for pretty much any game. It's not going to be limited, and it can be done for pretty much any Sapphire video card. It's not going to be limited to just certain new models. The only limitation right now is the Radeon image sharpening.
Oh, actually, I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought when we were talking about it before, I thought it was going to be for the 57 series and above.
No.
Did that change?
Image sharpening might be. But the actual Trix boost, I have tested it on as low as a 480, and it's fully functional.
Nice. Okay.
Now, so, and again, it sets one of those 3 resolutions. You don't have to turn them all on. So what it'll do is it creates a custom resolution for one of those 3 resolutions. You're going to go into your game settings. You're going to set your game to this custom resolution, and then you're going to leave it alone. You're done.
Yeah.
You don't have to overclock. Think about this. You can see as much, anywhere from a 10 to 20% performance boost with minimal loss of image quality. No overclock.
Right.
That means no extra power, no extra heat, no time spent tweaking.
Yep.
You just go in, move a slider, tell it yes, change your game setting, you're done, you're off to the races, and you just enjoyed a 10 to 20% performance boost.
That is impressive.
And we're the only company offering this right now.
For now, I guarantee you, as soon as the other guys,
we're trying to take steps to make that a little more difficult.
Oh, good.
Technically.
Well, kind of good, but yeah.
The technology to do this has been available for a long time, but it's complicated. There was a lot of behind the scenes stuff that the user would have to do.
Right.
And now they don't have to do anything. They move a slider, flip a switch, hey, we're off.
Because I used to do that way back when, but it got to the point that every time I had a new driver, every time there was a Windows update, every time there's a few instances, every time I got a new monitor, I'd have to keep adjusting that file. And it was just at a certain time, I was just like, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to enjoy what I have.
It just became a mess.
Right.
This is a simplified solution that works really well.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you don't have to mess with the overclocking, because I help in Reddit. I mentioned this. I help with tech support. And when somebody comes to you and they say, I'm having this stability issue with this game, or my computer doesn't work right, or whatever, the first thing you've got to tell them, if you're a good tech, if you've overclocked anything, turn it off.
Exactly. Yep.
You need to check stability by being at default first.
Right.
By giving you that level of performance boost without the need to overclock, you just remove the stability issue.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not saying this can't cause a stability issue, but it's easy to check. You go into the game and you change it back to the default resolution setting.
Right.
You don't have to try to track it down. And it's just, you use this with stuff like Cool and Quiet. It works with FreeSync. It works with the anti-lag technology that AMD has introduced. It works with all of this.
Yeah.
And it's pretty, I haven't found a game yet that I can't use this in, but I found a game that I don't need to use this in. That's the other key point. This doesn't have to be used all the time. It's not like an overclock. You overclock your video card 9 times out of 10. You just if you're like most of us, you just hit an overclock and you leave it.
Right.
Well, that means you're using extra power. You're generating extra heat. You're creating extra noise for
nothing.
A game that doesn't need it. And with this, you just don't use it if you don't need it. You don't set the custom resolution. Or if you want to, fine. Who cares? It's not generating heat.
Yep.
I love new tech like this. I love it when it's, I think Steve at Gamers Nexus said it right. It's quality of light.
Quality of light.
Life.
Oh, life. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's about a quality of life thing. I've been preaching this mantra. I know I've preached to you for almost 3 years now. We get wrapped up when we see reviews of new video cards.
Uh-huh.
Everybody wants to look at frame rates. That's all they want to look at. They spend all their time at frame rates. And when the 5700, and Steve's really pushed it, by the way, and you've helped with this too. With the 5700, when it came out, he commented, look at the custom cards. You're only seeing a small percentage boost. It's not there. Well, it's actually been that way for a long time.
Right.
for a long time, the difference between a reference model video card and a factory overclock video card from a pure performance point of view was usually in 3 to 5% at the most. From the two extremes, 5% was the most.
And you pay a lot more.
And you pay a lot more, and 5% performance. Back in the old days of overclocking, we lived on the law of 10. And the law of 10 was if you didn't hit 10%, who cared? Mm-hmm. So 5% wasn't that big a deal. But what we should have been focusing on, and I made this mistake, well, it wasn't as bad in the early days. It's gotten bad now because the silicone is so good that everything's near max speed now. Focus on the cooler, focus on the build quality, focus on the noise levels and the temperature, and you find the best value card to give you the best gaming experience. And the gaming experience isn't just frame rate. It's about noise coming out of your PC. It's about how much heat gets generated. It's about the stability of the product you have. So, and all these things come together. I gotta send a message to somebody here because they keep calling me.
By the way, one of our viewers, Angelo, mentioned that he had a Sapphire 5770 Vapor X a few years ago.
That's been a few years ago.
Quite a few, yeah. But it was a good card back then. So,
well, we get asked all the time why we haven't made another Vapor X. I can answer that here. We've answered this before. Heat pipe technology has gotten too good.
Right.
Vapor chamber was used because there was nothing else to really be able to keep the cards, the temperatures we were trying to get. And our vapor chamber technology has gotten to the point that, or not vapor chamber, but heat pipe technology has gotten to the point that paying the extra cost for the vapor chamber does not dramatically affect the difference in temperature performance.
Right.
Not enough to justify the cost difference we have to charge.
Right. And it's not that you want to charge them; it's just you have more equipment, so you gotta.
Well,
it costs more.
Designing a video card. I actually, again, did a breakout group at a LAN party about this. Designing a video card is a constant balancing act. You've got to look at what you're going to charge for the card and what you're going to bring to the card as far as quality of board components, heating, temperature goals, noise goals, clock goals. You've got to put all that together, and you've got to decide where is it worth increasing the cost and where is it not worth increasing the cost. Where is it going to give something that the consumers will pay the extra for and where won't it? And you've got to find that balancing act to be able to make it work. We like to think we do a pretty good job at it. We focus on the things that we feel are important to gamers, like cool operation, quiet operation, stability.
Yep, for sure.
And that's Pulse. Pulse is high quality, high durability, good, solid, reasonably priced products. Then we bring Nitro Plus. Nitro Plus is you take everything we did with Pulse. And since most of your viewers are North American and hopefully old enough to get this reference, we add Bacos. Because Bacos make everything better. And so we add RGB lighting, and we add a more powerful cooler, and we beef up the power delivery system for the potential to overclock. You don't know what the overclocking is going to be at Silicon Lottery. We all know that.
Right.
We use higher quality components. We take it a step further, and that's Nitro Plus. And then I know people are talking about Toxic. I don't know. I'm not going to say we're officially releasing a Toxic, and I'm not going to say we're not, because we always look.
Wink, wink.
Toxic, though, is, again, it's about the cost. It's about, to make a Toxic, you've got to have something that's over the top, and really over the top. That's the point of Toxic, okay? If buying a Pulse is like buying a Mustang, and buying a Nitro Plus is like buying a Porsche.
Right.
And buying a Toxic is like buying a gold-plated Lamborghini.
Right.
But it becomes a question of, to push it over the top like this, what do we have to charge?
Right.
And have we pushed ourselves to such a price point that nobody's interested in paying it? We have to explore this.
Right. there's a lot of people that are going to say, yeah, I'll definitely buy it. Then it comes out and it's like, yeah,
No.
about that.
Yeah.
So
It's about realism in the marketplace, but that's okay. Realism in the marketplace isn't a bad thing.
so
It's just, it is what it is.
so, and
Welcome to graphic cards.
I'm not going to mention names of manufacturers because these will be your direct competitors, and I don't want to upset anybody.
Okay.
When I worked at the last boutique I worked at as product development, I'd have to go over a bunch of different cards. So
Okay.
one there was only about 3 or 4 people we would ever touch. Of course, Sapphire would be one of them, but one of the other ones that makes every kind of card, NVIDIA and AMD, you take it out of the box and it feels like it's about to fall apart in your hands. But yet a lot of people love this card. I don't think because of the quality. I think because it says their name on it.
Well, marketing's always a big deal.
And
I actually had somebody tell me, I guess about 2 years ago, that he always thought Sapphire was considered the cheap version of AMD graphics cards. And
right.
I'm like, well, what the crap have you been buying?
Right.
We're not always the most expensive, but we're considered like the premium card.
Right.
Oh no, we've always heard you guys were the. I don't know who's telling you this crap, but okay.
I think it was the same Best Buy guy that said 4K is.
He probably got fired from there and went to Best Buy. There is an advantage we as a company hold because we only produce and have only ever produced graphics cards for AMD or ATI before that.
Right.
In fact, I think with the exception of EVGA on the other side, we're the longest solo partner of a graphics chip manufacturer.
Right, which EVGA, I was going to mention them about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, everybody teases me. They say, you guys are the EVGA for AMD cards. No,
right.
You got to understand, we've been around longer.
Right.
EVGA is the Sapphire of NVIDIA cards. You got to get the order right.
Well,
okay?
When I was going to say that, it was about being a board partner. You're the number one board partner.
I've got nothing but respect for anybody that works in this industry that tries to bring a high quality product to the market.
Right.
It's difficult. It's difficult because here I'll lay some reality down. By the way, I'll be unemployed next week after this. I'm going to lay some reality down. Gamers want perfection, but don't want to pay for perfection.
Right.
Now I'm talking as a mass whole, not individuals.
Right.
Okay. There are many individual gamers that get this and understand this.
Me too.
But you'll go listen to somebody on Reddit and they'll go, that card shouldn't cost this much. It should cost this. Really? That's based on your years of marketing experience and knowing what the background cost of the product was?
Product development and
yeah, it's a difficult industry to be a part of. It helps. I believe I'm good at my job. I hope I'm good at my job. Please tell me.
I think you're great.
I hope I'm good at my job because I'm a gamer. I understand the back end of this.
That's so important.
I understand the frustration when your video game doesn't work. Terry Megadon from AMD and ATI before, that's where I met him, was with ATI. I think he's blocked me on his email because I'll be playing a game and I'll find a glitch and I'll be like, hey Terry, I've tracked this down. This is what it looks like.
Nice.
And it's nice to have the inside contacts, but sometimes I guess I'm opaque because I'm like every other gamer. I want my experience to be outstanding. I'm proud of the fact I work for Sapphire. I'm proud of the fact that we bring a really good quality product to the marketplace. When Steve did his review of our Nitro Plus over on Gamers Nexus, and your review, and by the way, we got just that. Thank you to all the reviewers, but thank you also to the community that embraced the card. we knew we had a good card, but holy cow.
Yeah, and I have to say, even though you told me, but as a reviewer, I'm writing for the people that are watching,
Right.
and I'm recording videos for people that are watching. When you told me this will be able to play 1440p perfectly, I'm just like, come on, Ed. I love you, man, but no, it can't. And
Yes, it can.
and mind you, the and I'm trying to remember the 580. Yes, that could do 2K.
Oh,
Mind you, you had to push, but it could do 1440p.
well, there was some bad marketing in some of the earlier cards. Companies would be pushing 4K at it.
Right.
Okay, and the 580 and the 480 were a classic example of this. Neither card was ever 4K ready. Okay, bullshit. All right, you might have to bleep me. They were never 4K ready. They shouldn't have been 4K ready. They were 1080p. A 580 can do 1440p, but it's got to push its upper limits.
Right.
Okay, the 1440p cards coming forward from AMD, the Fury could do 1440p. I know it got a lot of grief for that, but the 4 gig was so freaking fast, it didn't matter. And it wasn't always the best 1440p card, but it was a good 1440p card.
Yeah.
Then we come forward to Vega 56 and Vega 64. Great 1440p cards.
Yep. I can talk about the 64.
They did the job well. The 56 is what I ran before I got my 5700 series card.
Yeah.
And I was playing again 1440p gaming. Then comes the 5700, and the 5700 just gets you so excited because it's reasonably priced and it's a beast at 1440. It's not able to play 1440. It excels at 1440.
Yeah, when you told me 1440, I was just like, I rolled my eyes. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it can. And then so I get, whenever I get a new card, I do a complete wipe and a reload of the OS because I don't want drivers messing with each other. And then that becomes my machine. I have no other machine for that time that I'm reviewing that card. And so I get to 100% experience anything and everything good and bad about the card. And so I pop the card in, I install the drivers, and I'm like, I mean, Windows seems to run perfectly great. No blue screens on installing drivers. Perfect. And then I did all the Windows updates, and again from the ground up. And then I played. No, it wasn't even a game. I just did a 3D Mark real quick, and I'm like,
And you watch 3D Mark Extreme Break 10,000 on the GPU and go, what the hell?
And I was like, that what? Oh, okay. So then I threw on there. What's Metro 20? I forgot the latest one. And that one struggled a little bit, but it struggles on every card.
It struggles on everything.
But still, it didn't struggle as much as I thought it would. I'm like, what? And then I tried Tomb Raider, not Tomb Raider. I've tried a 1,000 games on it, maybe 20, but anyway, I tried a bunch of games on it, and I'm like, 1440p actually works, and it works well.
And that was non-XT.
Yep. And I'm just thanking Angelo. He mentioned Exodus, so thank you, Angelo. And at 1440p, it not only ran it, because anything can run 1440p. On this Dell XPS 13 that I'm running, it has integrated Intel HD video that can play 1440p at like 3 frames per second, but still, this ran it above 60 frames per second. I'm like, this is amazing, and it cost half as much as the NVIDIA equivalent, and I was just like, oh my god. And so then to fast track a little bit ahead, then the processors come out. And I'm like, oh my God, AMD is back. AMD is back.
Right now, if you want to build, AMD did a video, and by the way, if you go to their Twitter feed, you'll see I disagreed with what they said. AMD did a video that they now have the best 1440p platform on the market, and they're not wrong.
Right.
Okay, they're the only company, by the way, in the PC market to have a true gaming platform. Everybody else has to use something from somebody else to get it done. AMD can give you the motherboard, the chipset, or the motherboard, chipset, the CPU, and the GPU, which are the core of a platform. So, if you want to build a 1440 gaming rig right now, you want to keep your cost low. So you go buy yourself a 3600. You find yourself a decent B450 motherboard and upgrade the BIOS.
Listen to this, guys.
You put 16 gigs of RAM on it for 3200. There's been a couple of videos about this. 3200 seems to be the sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
So you buy that, and then you go buy a Pulse 5700, not the XT, the 5700.
Right.
You are under $1,000, and you are able to use a 1440p 144 hertz monitor effectively.
Yes. So,
and that's never existed. That level of performance has never existed.
So back in the day, when I worked for a different OEM, well, boutique back then, as product development as well, that is when the FX series, the real FX series was out.
Yep.
That AMD was destroying anything Intel would throw at it. All of a sudden, the Core 2 Duo came out and blew away the FX, anything AMD had, and a lot of you may not know or remember that, but there was a time way back when that AMD destroyed Intel, and everybody was like, "Oh, Intel's a heat monster with their Pentium D," and I forgot the other model numbers, but you know. And then all of a sudden, the Core 2 Duo came out, and the Core 2 Quad, and it just blew AMD away, and the AMD was kind of forgotten. Then AMD bought ATI, and then they came out with the 2600. That was the very first Crossfire card. I think it was a 2600, was it? Or 1600. Yes, 1600. Because then there was the 1800 that was just above that. But, and you know, everybody was like, why did you guys buy ATI? And it did take a while, but, you know, now we're at the point that AMD again is trumping Intel, along with the CPU segment, along with the GPU segment, and
right in
cost
the middle
wise,
of the marketplace.
Yeah,
right in the middle of the marketplace. Well, even further. Okay, so the 580 and the 570 and the 590 are still the de facto best value 1080p card.
Oh, for sure. So if
NVIDIA's got better performance offerings, but they cost more money, and the difference isn't enough to justify.
So even with the 5700 out, which is again an amazing card, some of my highest videos, and it's not like highest viewed videos, and it's not that, you know, legacy viewed, they're still getting hundreds of views a day. I'm not a big guy, they're not thousands, they're hundreds, and some even pass 1,000. But anyway, they're getting hundreds. Is teaching people how to install the 580, gaming on the 580, the RGB effects on the 580, or the lighting effects, should I say, on the 580, the tricks, and people still love that card, even though the 570s or 5700s out. And I think people are just nabbing it, you know, because maybe prices dropped a little bit. And
if you're gaming at 1080p, anything above a 590 is, I don't like to say a waste of money, but you're not going to get your experience value out of it.
Yeah, and I think that you guys are at an awesome place right now. When I say you guys, I mean AMD and then all its partners. So you're in an awesome place.
We are. We're excited about the future. I'm excited about the stuff, like I said, that we're doing specifically with Sapphire. I love the direction AMD's going. I think the only frustration I've had with the AMD CPU platform has been memory, but I'm discovering that tends to be motherboard manufacturers more than AMD.
Well, I found an issue when I reviewed it, and I don't remember the name of when I did a build for a friend. It was the Ryzen Master. I don't remember what the software was called.
Yeah, Ryzen Master.
In order to get either the third core or the fourth core or whatever, I actually had to use Ryzen Master because it was only showing up as whatever that was minus one core.
Ooh, well, you need to contact AMD. They need to RMA that chip.
No. It worked fine. Mind you, it was, let's say it was a quad core. It was only showing up 3. After I installed, I didn't even do anything for the CPU. I just installed the Ryzen Master. The fourth core showed.
Yeah.
So then
like something in the motherboard BIOS.
And it could have been, but that's just one thing of frustration. You know, the AMD I think has always made awesome hardware. It's just the drivers or software has always been.
I can give a lot of excuses, but in the end, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. We got to deal with it.
But
I just built a 3600 base system.
Okay.
And I went to put the RAM I had in it, which is DDR4 3200. I put the RAM in it, and the system was unstable to hell and back. I had to go in and manually adjust the RAM, and I could only hold it at 3000. So then I yanked the RAM out of there, yanked the RAM from my 3800X system, put it in the 3600. It worked perfectly. It was a different RAM, by the way, different brand of RAM. And the RAM from the 3600 worked perfectly in the 3800, different motherboard. And so what I ended up finding out was it was a motherboard issue. The motherboard didn't have the profiles needed. That's a little frustrating. You would think that had been universally standarded by now, but evidently not.
So was the RAM on the QVL for the board?
No, that's
okay.
the issue. And I thought we were past that. I really did. I thought we were past the point that the QVL was necessary because XMP and AMD's pretty much given up on AMP, I believe. I don't see it anymore. XMP has been a standard for a long time. And you would think that the data is the data if it's there, right, and that the motherboard would apply it. Why is it not applying it? So that's a little bit of a frustration. Speaking of frustration, I got a tip to help your audience's builders.
All right.
Josh Sniffen helped me figure this tip out. Remember when Asus and a couple of other companies have done it too? They do these little blocks that would fit on the front panel connector.
Yes.
So it's really easy to attach. You attach your cables to the blocks and put the blocks on. Nobody seems to do that anymore. Now, I'm not saying it's not being done, but it's usually high-end boards.
Does Asus not do that anymore?
Not on the low-end stuff, they don't.
Because my friend just bought
under like 150.
A buddy of mine just bought, and I was trying to help him with this yesterday, actually. So it's kind of funny that you brought this up. I couldn't go to his house because I just moved, so I'm getting everything ready. But he was talking about the front panel headers, about negative versus positive, and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, there should be a little block in the box, and that has a bunch of holes that fits into those pins, and then it has pins sticking out so you can fit those headers into it. And then if you get it wrong the first time, you could just flip it around. It's not going to kill your board. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's just a pain in the butt.
Right. But and maybe he doesn't have them because maybe they don't make them anymore. But
well, now here's what's funny, and I've looked on 15 different motherboards. It looks like they have begun to standardize the front panel connector. And if you look at it,
mind blown.
The standardization is exactly the same pin locations as the USB 2 front panel header.
Why?
It's 4x5.
Why would they do that?
Okay, it's okay that they did it. I'm glad they did it. Because here's what I found you can do. You can buy a USB front panel header extension for about $5 that's got a nice braided cable to it. You plug that on the motherboard, and you get to the other end. There you go. So it's all
So an extension.
It's easy. Yeah, it's a USB header extension. And it works exactly the same way because all it's doing is taking the pins and extending them out to a male in.
Nice, okay.
And so and people say, yeah, but you don't know where the positive is. You don't know. Sure you do. Because the positive, when you look at a front panel header, there is 4 pins at one side, 5 pins at the other with a gap for the 5th pin on the first group. And that first group of 4 pins is power and power switch.
Yeah.
And the power is always away from that dead plug location, the positive is. The pins underneath it are always hard drive LED reset button. And the power for the hard drive LED is always in the same side as it was for the power LED.
Right above,
so
yeah.
You get down to the end of the switch and you just look, there they are, they're lined up, they're ready to go. It's that easy, and it's a simple little thing you can go buy, and it makes your life a billion times easier.
I have a bunch of those laying around. I got to try that because I didn't think that they were the same. But
yeah, the pinouts are exactly the same when you look at them. It's a 4x5.
Okay, I gotta check that out.
And it just, I remember I was talking to Josh Stiffin about it, and I'm like, does anybody make an extension for this, a cable to do this? And he's like, no, nobody makes an extension. You can buy the individual extension cables, little 2-pin extension cables.
Right.
Well, that's not helping the problem. It's the same bullshit problem. You got to get in that little space in the motherboard.
Yeah.
But then I get to look at it. I looked at it and I'm like, wait a minute, that's just an inverted USB. Hold on, that's just a reversed USB.
Yeah.
And I look at some more. Oh my God, a USB header fits on it.
So I'm gonna go grab a board, but real quick.
Yeah, because I'm gonna have to get going here in a minute. We've been at this an hour and a half, man.
Yeah. I had Angelo, the one of our viewers here. He asked me a good question, and that I've actually heard a lot of people ask. Officially, would you say that Crossfire is dead?
Well, officially, I can't say that because I'm not AMD, and Sapphire doesn't have an official position on this. I can give Ed's opinion from 40 years of being in the industry. I think multi-carding is about to die, if it hasn't already. The idea behind multi-carding was really cool. The idea was you could buy he's got to check this out. He's got to go get a motherboard.
And you're absolutely right, by the way.
I know I'm right. I wouldn't have said it if I wasn't right. First rule, Ed's right. So anyway, multi-carding solution.
Right there.
When it was originally released with 3DFX, was a brilliant idea. But it was a brilliant idea because you didn't have individual graphics chips powerful enough to deliver what was needed to be done.
Right.
Fast forwarding, what happened was multi-carding solutions, and this is something Intel did with CPUs as well, guys. Intel, it used to be that you could overclock simpler chips. The Celeron 300A was like godly for overclock. But Intel realized that meant nobody was buying low-end or high-end chips anymore. So this is my opinion, by the way. This isn't insider information, just my opinion. Intel started charging extra for overclockable chips, which to me was tacky. But that's, again, just my opinion.
The K, yep.
So with video cards, the idea of multi-card was really good for low-end cards. Using modern cards, you can buy 2 570s and actually get a pretty good 1440p gaming experience. But the problem with multi-cards was game support. Mm-hmm. Some games supported it, some games didn't support it. Some drivers fixed issues, other drivers made it worse. And suddenly what you got is you're buying 2 video cards, you're paying for 2 video cards, and only about 20% of your library will use 2 video cards for any meaningful level of performance boost. And by that, I mean, if you're using 2 cards, you better 40 to 50% minimum.
Right.
If you're not getting that, what was the point?
Right.
And individual chips became more and more powerful. Look at where we're at today. It used to be it used to be difficult to do 1080p at 144 hertz. Today, we've got tons of chips under $300 that can do it. With the 5700 series, it used to be unheard of to not spend $600-700 to be able to get 1440p at 144 hertz. Now we're doing it at 350.
Yeah, that is amazing.
The individual chip has come up. I don't know if it'll ever die, but I do know it's really on life support at this point.
Okay.
Personally, I stopped using multi-cards after 3DFX. The number of glitches that could potentially be introduced just wasn't worth any gain. I just bought a bigger video card.
Which, by the way, I have to find it. It's in the boxes of everything I've moved that are still in my garage. But I still have my very first Voodoo 1 Rush.
Oh, I wish I had all those still.
I still have it.
I've got so many cards over the years. Well, was it the Voodoo 5 that was never actually came out?
No, the Voodoo 5 came out. It was an AGP card.
No, there was one after it.
There was nothing after the 5.
No, it was a dual. It was a dual 5 that never came out. Okay.
Okay.
I actually had one for a while. And
nice.
what had happened was I was reviewing at the time, and I had a good relationship with the guys at 3DFX. And my contact calls me up. He said, "Ed, I want to let you know you got a box of about 10 video cards on the way to you."
What? That's awesome.
Really? It's Christmas. I said, "What's going on?" He said, "They're going to announce it officially tonight. We just got sold to 3DFX or to NVIDIA." And I'm like, "Oh shit." and I got a couple of experimental cards, and those quietly made the rounds until we just got better stuff. It's funny. I see these people that have collected their video cards over the years, and I think that's cool. By the way, I really think it's cool. If I did that, I'd have to have 2 rooms in my house.
No, for sure. For sure.
At this point, what I do is I game on my stuff. I use it until I can't use it anymore, and then or until I've got better, which happens a lot. Then my wife and my son get upgraded, or my nephews, or my friends, or
right.
And so stuff doesn't tend to stick around with me. It tends to move out and move down the product chain, and where it ends up, who knows? But
same here.
I know it's going to a good gamer home, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, my daughter right now, I believe she's using the 570 ITX.
Nice.
Or I think it was it the ITX or I don't remember the model number of it. Or maybe it was
570. We did an ITX and a 570.
Yeah, she's using that right now, and she loves it. Not a single issue, so that's cool.
Just realized a couple of days ago, my wife's PC, it's an old i5, it's 5 years old. She's still running a 390 in it.
Wow.
And so I'm in the process of building her a 2600, and we're going to put a Pulse Vega 56 in it.
Wow.
And then I'm going to get her a really nice 1080p 144 hertz monitor so she can actually enjoy that.
Yeah, that's going to be a night and day difference for her.
Oh, you know what? She doesn't care. She doesn't care about any of that stuff. She wants to play her video game. Well, and in fact, I'll leave you with this one then, because this was a funny story from reviewing. Remember when SSDs first came out?
Yep, and they were way too much money.
They were way too much money, but there was a big discussion as to if the SSD performance boosters were really that important to everyday users. So my wife was a guinea pig. And she was going to work one day, and I went into her system, and I took and pulled out her spindle drive and put in the SSD, and then loaded up everything she had back on it. I used a cloning program, loaded everything back on it, and she came home. And she used her computer for about 2 days, and she came out and she said, "Did you do something to my computer?" No, why? And she said, "Just feels faster. It just seems like it's faster."
Yeah, double blind test.
And I'm like, "Well, we didn't do anything." And she's like, "Okay." So I let her use it for about a week. Then I went in, she went to work, I pulled out the SSD, put her spindle to her. She comes running into my room. "My computer's broke." "What do you mean it's broke?" "It's so slow."
Nice.
"It broke."
Yeah.
And I said, what do you mean it's broke? Is it not running?" "It's running everything. It's just slow." "Well, how slow?" "Slow." And so I told her what I did. At that point, I was told the SSD had to go back in, or I was sleeping on the couch.
Right.
But the point was, we were trying to prove that real world experience, not the benchmark, were where this was. FreeSync is another classic example. If you give somebody a FreeSync monitor for the first time and have them play on it for about a week,
Yep.
they might notice it, but it won't be that big of a deal. Take it away from them after 2 weeks.
Right.
And they
What
want
happened?
to kill you. They want FreeSync back.
Right.
It's something changed. It's not right. It's not smooth anymore.
Yes.
That's good technology, though. Good technology should hide so we can enjoy it, so we don't get wrapped up in the technology.
Right.
But there you go.
So cool.
We got all the voice stuff worked out.
Yes, thank you so much for all your help. Definitely thank you for taking time out of your day, almost
no
an hour and a half of your day.
An hour and a half.
And actually 2 hours of your day, because you helped me out a little bit getting everything running.
Problem,
and thank you so much for joining us, and chatting with us and educating us on a bunch of your stuff, which is, you already know I love the cards.
Definitely, like I said, when we see the new tricks hit, if you've got a Sapphire card, I'll make sure announcements are out there. Go download it, try out Tricks Boost. You'll be amazed.
And I'll tell you firsthand, this Tricks Boost, the newer one, was awesome to play with. Now when when Sapphire comes out with the later one that everybody can use.
Yeah, this is just the cleaned up Tricks, but it's designed to work with any Sapphire card.
Right, and you guys are going to love it. So definitely check it out when it comes out.
There you go. All right, guys. Thank you much.
Thank you so much, Ed. You have a great one.
You too, Iggy. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.